G'day guys, welcome to my Iron Squads feature video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Hyundai Aleague for Week 18's recap preview for 2021 guys. So let's get started. So starting off with this first match of this game, we see the Western United going up against the Wellington Phoenix. Now, what I can say about this game, the Wellington Phoenix have been pretty much alright ordeal. The Wellington Phoenix have been alright in a couple of seasons and couple of weeks. Like I know they have been pretty much ordeal. I know that they are a really good team, but still I just don't see them in the finals. I still reckon they're pretty much a good team. They've got good players and they have been alright. They've been up and down lately, but that doesn't mean that they have been sloppy and terrible. They've been absolutely really good in that attack and defence. The way how they play, they've just been actually our deal. But I just have a gut feeling in this game that the Western United have really been alright in this game, and to hold off the Wellington Phoenix, absolutely good work by them. Credit to the Western United side. But it was 1-1 the scoreline anyway. It was obviously a tie, and the only goal that basically was scored from the Western United was Lachlan Wales, and the only goal that basically scored was for the Wellington Phoenix was Ben Wayne anyway. So in this game, that wet match was pretty much a very tight game. I didn't know that if it was going to be a pretty much an alright game. I didn't think that they were going to tie in this game. I thought the Western United were going to have an alright game to basically smash the Wellington Phoenix, but it was a tie match about that. And I didn't think that the Western United were going to win that game, and I just didn't think they would, but yeah. It was a tie, 1-1 for that scoreline. The next game of that match, we see the Melbourne Victory going up against the Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, okay, what I have to say about this game is the Melbourne Victory, finally they've got a win. They've been improving so far, but they're just not a very good team at the moment. I know that they have been pretty much good in their attack and defence, but it's not really their season for this year, and I knew for a gut feeling that they were going to win only just against the Western Sydney Wanderers, and I didn't think that they were going to win in this game, and I thought the Western Sydney Wanderers were basically going to smash the Melbourne Victory anyway, but I just didn't think they were going to beat that side, because usually Melbourne Victory aren't really good enough of a team, and now they've been stepping up, and yeah, credit to the Melbourne Victory side in that game anyway. So sorry, I do believe that. The only goals that basically scored for the Melbourne Victory side was Gabenga Family, Storm Rue, Dylan Ryan, and Jacob Butterfield, but Gabenga Family scored 2 goals in that game. Storm Rue, Dylan Ryan, and Jacob Butterfield. Sorry if I'm repeating. Just had to tell you the things. And the only goals that basically scored in the Western Sydney Wanderers side was James Teresi, Graham Dorrans, Mitchell Duke, and Nikolai Muller. But in that game, I didn't think that the Western Sydney Wanderers were going to have a really good game. But unfortunately, though, it was going to be a tied-up game, and it was going to be a tight match in that match. So, yeah, 5-4 the scoreline in that game. The next game of that match, we see the Mariners going up against the Sydney FC. Now, in this game, what I do think about this match is the Mariners have been alright couple of weeks, how they want to play their game. They've been absolutely great, but now they've been pretty sloppy and they've been absolutely terrible. and they're just letting the other defenders basically winning like the game anyway. But in this game, like, the Sydney FC were on top of it, and like the Mariners were pretty good in the first half, and in the second half, the Sydney FC were just coming back to basically get 2 goals in that game. So it was basically 2-2 the scoreline, but it was tied in that match. I didn't think that the Mariners in that game were going to really stand up in that match to really put on a great show, but unfortunately though, the Mariners didn't really look like they were executing the Sydney FC right. But the only goals that basically scored in that game from the Mariners was Marco Urena and Matt Simon. And the only goals from the Sydney FC was Milos Nikovic and Trent Bahaja. But anyway, in that game, the Sydney FC are really good in that match. And for this game not to be ideal, it was going to be a tight game. And obviously in this match, I didn't think the Sydney FC were going to win in that game, but obviously they didn't. It was going to be a tight game in that match, and obviously I didn't think the Sydney FC were going to win. It was going to be a tight game. Plus, I knew that the Mariners were going to work hard and basically improve their defense, but their defense was alright, but their attack just wasn't there. And yeah, it was basically a tie for Central Coast Mariners and the Sydney FC side, 2-2 the scoreline, and it was tied. The next game of that match, we see the Macarthur FC going up against the Melbourne City. Now, in this game, what I do think about this match, the Macarthur FC have been doing pretty much alright, but it's highly likely that they will be in the finals, and obviously in that game was pretty much alright. The Melbourne City were absolutely great. Their defense was basically alright. Like, obviously for Macarthur FC it was basically alright. But in that game was absolutely ideal, and I didn't think in this game that the Macarthur FC were going to win. But it was 1-1 the scoreline in that game, but it was tied in that match. I didn't think that none of these teams were going to win, and usually the Melbourne City would win if they would have had that defense pretty much their game. And fair would be fair though, but the Macarthur FC have been alright so far, but they've been lacking defense and not really improving really well. But the only player that basically scored for the Macarthur FC was Michael Vuz, and the only player that basically scored for the Melbourne City side was Connor Metcalf. So it was 1-1 the scoreline, but it was tied in that game. And obviously I didn't think in this match that it was going to be a very tight game, and obviously in that match it was a do or die contest. But I didn't think in this game it was going to be a very tight game. Plus, like, Macarthur FC are a really good team, but obviously, yeah, Melbourne City were going to be very ideal. But yeah, 1-1 the scoreline, and it was tied in that match. The next game of that match, we see the Wellington Phoenix going up against the Adelaide United. Now, last week, as I mentioned about this video, I did say that Adelaide United, I thought they were going to win, but unfortunately they didn't. It was 2-1. So that game was basically 2-1 the scoreline in that match, and the Wellington Phoenix basically won that game only just. And I didn't think in this game that the Wellington Phoenix were really going to aim up in their good defence. And Wellington Phoenix have been alright so far, and I just didn't think that the Wellington Phoenix were going to win in that game. And Adelaide United have been really good. Their attack has been pretty much like solid, and obviously their defense has been pretty solid. But in that game was just absolutely tight. Like, these two sides have been pretty much a defense side, and obviously like the Wellington Phoenix have been pretty much ideal and I didn't think in this game it was going to be a very much of big of a contest in that game, and obviously in that match, like, it was going to be a tight game. But obviously, the only players that basically scored in that match for Wellington Phoenix was Ben Wayne and Tom Heemand. And then the only player that basically scored in the Adelaide United side was Stefan Mock. So yeah, and that game was pretty much an ideal clash, and pretty much the Wellington Phoenix just basically took it home, only just by 2-1, that scoreline anyway. And obviously in this match that I didn't think in this game it was going to be a very good of a contest. But yeah, what can you do really? But yeah, 2-1 the scoreline anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Western United going up against the Newcastle Jets. Now, in this game, the Newcastle Jets have been absolutely terrible. They've been outrageous. They just haven't been working hard, and every single time I see this team basically played, like, it's like every single time I see this team at home, they never win. And the only time that basically they won was 1-0 against Melbourne City, and I just didn't think they were going to win. And the Western United side have been ideal, and they've been absolutely good in that defence, and their attack has been pretty solid so far. But I just didn't think in this game that the Western United side were going to win, but they obviously did anyway. But in that match, the only players that basically scored for the Western United side, but it was Nikolai Tupou-Stanley that scored an own goal. How stupid was that? But the only player in that side for the Western United side was Dylan Perez. But yeah, it was 2-0, that scoreline anyway. And I just didn't think in this game that the Western United side were going to win, but you obviously got the Newcastle Jets that aren't really equalising that well, and I just don't think that they are pretty much good of a team at the moment now, since they keep losing every single time they play. And I felt so sorry for you guys, but it's not going to keep going on if you guys don't play as well. You guys aren't going to get in the finals if you keep playing as you usually do. But yeah, it was 2-0 to the scoreline anyway. But yeah, well done from the Western United in that match. The next game of that match, we see the Sydney FC going up against the Melbourne Victory. As I said about the Sydney FC side, they are pretty much a really good team. Also, the Melbourne Victory have been pretty much alright, but I knew Melbourne Victory weren't going to win, but the Sydney FC was potentially going to win in that game. But I didn't think in this match that the Melbourne Victory were going to win in that game. But ideally, in that game was just a pretty much ideal clash. But what can you do, really? And the only player that basically scored in that game was Devonson Rogerio. But it was 1-0, that scoreline anyway. But the Melbourne Victory have been an alright team so far. They have been winning a couple of games, but not all of the games. And the Sydney FC were pretty much potentially the best team they were in the season. But then they lacked defence. They went down, and then they went up. So I just think they will improve this season, and I reckon they will, because they've got really good players out there, and they've got really solid players that really makes a mark in that team. But in that game, I just don't think that they will improve Melbourne Victory. But I just don't see Melbourne Victory getting to that finals spot. Only because in that game it was just not ideally. But the more they lose, the more they aren't going to get in the finals. But obviously, if you do win more, you do get in the finals. So in that game, yeah, it was 1-0 the scoreline, and it was a pretty tight match for that game anyway. And finally, the next game of that match, we see the Central Coast Mariners going up against the Brisbane Roar. Now, in this game, what I do think about this match, like, the Brisbane Roar side are really good, and I just don't think that they are pretty much a bad team. And, like, as I mentioned before, that I reckon, what was the guy's name? I can't remember his name, but he's been playing, obviously, really well. But in that game, I just don't see the Mariners winning in that game, because obviously they were going to win, but it was absolutely terrible by them that just didn't get the win so far in that game. And obviously in that match, like, the Brisbane Roar have been absolutely solid in that game. 4-0 the scoreline in that match, and like, it was just basically the third place going up against like 7th place. And I don't know how the hell that the Mariners didn't win that game. And for obviously in that match, like, the Brisbane Roar side aren't really intentionally that good. But they are pretty much solid at the moment now. But yeah, let's have a look at the Brisbane Roar goals. Anyway, so what we have here is Michaeli Gillespie, Joseph Shepnes, Alex Parsons, and Masito Koto. Kudo or Koto, I don't know how you say that right. I don't know how you pronounce that right. But yeah, the Brisbane Roar side have been really solid in that game, and I didn't know that the Brisbane Roar side were going to win in that game. And obviously in that match, like, I just don't think the Mariners were going to win. But they have been pretty terrible at the moment, but I just don't think that they will be in the finals. And yeah, it was just pretty much a sad moment for them. But it was basically 4-0 the scoreline, and yeah, well done from the Brisbane Roar for making a really good win. Thanks guys for watching my video, guys. Stay tuned for more. We'll be doing a couple of videos coming to you guys soon. Also, I'll be doing more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for more. Plus, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and for this video. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care guys, stay safe, and have a good one. Plus, let's get up to 300 subscribers. We're sitting on 209 anyway, so let's get up to that. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.